Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If a woman has ever looked straight through you like you didn't exist, if you've ever watched her obsess over a man who isn't richer, better looking, or even kinder than you, then what I'm about to tell you will make you uncomfortable. Because attraction is not fair, and it is not logical. Before we go any further, if you value understanding female psychology at a deeper level, not manipulation, not games, but real psychological awareness, subscribe to this channel and like this video. The men who grow here are the men who stop chasing and start choosing. Now listen carefully. You cannot make a specific woman obsessed with you. Obsession is not a switch you flip. It's an emotional state she enters when certain psychological triggers align with her unmet desires, her attachment style, and her perception of your value. But you can become the kind of man women obsess over, even if you're not their usual type. Here's the truth most men never hear. A woman's type is a conscious preference. Her obsession is driven by the unconscious. Her type is what she says she wants. Her obsession is what her nervous system reacts to. You've seen it. She says she likes tall, extroverted, dominant men. Then she falls for a quiet, average-looking guy who barely talks, but carries himself like he's internally unshakable. Why? Because attraction is about emotional impact, not visual preference. When a woman becomes obsessed, it's because a man activates three psychological levers: emotional uncertainty, perceived rarity, and self-expansion. Uncertainty makes her think about you. Rarity makes her value you. Self-expansion makes her feel bigger around you. And here's where most men fail. They over-explain, over-text, over-give, over-chase. They remove uncertainty. They make themselves common. They shrink themselves to fit her. Obsession dies in predictability. A woman becomes intrigued when she feels she hasn't fully figured you out yet, but senses depth beneath the surface. Not coldness, not games, depth. When you are emotionally regulated, self-directed, and slightly unpredictable in your availability, you activate curiosity instead of comfort, and curiosity is the beginning of obsession. The question isn't, how do I make her obsessed with me? The real question is, am I psychologically compelling enough to disrupt her emotional pattern? Because if you are, she won't just notice you, she'll start thinking about you when you're not there. And that's where everything changes. Let me be brutally honest with you. Most men think attraction is about being good enough, or checking boxes. They chase, they over-explain themselves, and they hope attention equals desire. That's not how the human mind works, especially a woman's. Desire is not transactional. It's chemical, emotional, and deeply psychological. You can be far from her stated type and still ignite obsession if you understand how her mind unconsciously decides who matters. Here's the part that shocks most men. Women become obsessed with men who challenge them, not men who comfort them. Comfort is familiar, predictable, safe. Those qualities are great for long-term stability, but obsession comes from tension, emotional tension, a mix of intrigue, subtle uncertainty, and a sense that you're different from every man she's ever met. You need to understand the balance between closeness and distance, availability and independence. Push too far, and you scare her. Pull too far, and you disappear from her mind. But hit that subtle tension perfectly, and she will mentally orbit around you without realizing it. Now let's talk about perception. Women obsess over the man they perceive as rare. Not rare in looks, not rare in money, but rare in energy. A man who seems self-contained, who isn't needy for validation, who doesn't react predictably to every mood swing. He's rare because most men are not self-contained. Most men collapse emotionally when things don't go their way. You, however, can create a quiet internal gravity. You can become the man who holds his own energy, whose mood and presence she notices because it doesn't depend on her. That alone sparks intrigue. Another key element is self-expansion. She will become obsessed with you if she unconsciously feels that being around you makes her feel more alive, more capable, or more admired. Not just flattery, real emotional stimulation. Your presence should elevate her experience of life, not because you're performing, but because your mind, energy, and emotional regulation naturally draw her into a higher emotional state. This is why trying to be her type fails. Type is surface level, obsession is depth level. If you chase type, you're predictable, and predictability kills curiosity. But if you cultivate rare energy, emotional independence, and the ability to inspire her self-expansion, obsession becomes almost inevitable. Here's the secret most men will never tell you. The women who obsess are not looking for someone perfect. They're looking for someone unforgettable. Not flawless, but unforgettable in how he makes her feel, how he challenges her, and how he exists outside of her control. And that, my friend, is your first real step toward making her mind, heart, and attention revolve around you. Do you want me to show you exactly how to trigger that obsession in ways she can't resist? Because the next piece will teach you how to do just that, without being manipulative, without being fake, and without being her type. Here's where most men get stuck. They believe attraction is earned by effort. They think the more they give, the more she will want them. That's a lie. Obsession doesn't come from effort. It comes from impact. Every interaction, every glance, every word you say should leave an imprint on her mind, even if she doesn't consciously realize it. You want her to think about you when you're not there, to replay moments, to feel a pull she can't explain. That's the psychology of obsession. You must understand emotional contrast. A woman's attention spikes when she experiences a range of emotions around you, not extremes, not drama, but subtle tension. Be warm, then slightly distant. Be playful, then quietly serious. Show depth, then leave a trace of mystery. These contrasts create what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, her mind trying to resolve the puzzle that is you. And when her mind can't resolve it, it keeps spinning, replaying your interactions, imagining possibilities. That is obsession forming. Timing and unpredictability are equally critical. If you are always available, always predictable, she will categorize you as ordinary. But when your presence feels rare, when she isn't sure when she'll next experience your attention, her brain starts craving it. It's not manipulation, it's biological. Our brains respond to uncertainty with heightened focus, anticipation, and emotional intensity. You want her to associate you with that spike of emotion. That spike, over time, turns into mental preoccupation. Another secret, emotional anchoring. When she experiences pleasure, excitement, or validation in your presence, her mind begins to link those feelings to you, not by flattery or pandering, but by creating moments where she feels alive, seen, or understood in a way no one else does. A single powerful conversation, a moment of deep humor, or an unexpected insight from you can anchor her emotions to your presence. These anchors are subtle, but they're more potent than any superficial gestures or expensive gifts. Also, don't underestimate the power of scarcity. Not scarcity of attention as in games, but scarcity of meaningful presence. Most men are constantly chasing her approval, flooding her with texts, messages, or social media likes. That creates emotional saturation. You want to create the opposite. Presence that feels significant, rare, and valuable. It's about quality, not quantity. Here's the bottom line. Obsession is created in her subconscious, not in her conscious decisions. The man she can't get out of her head is the man who challenges her expectations, elevates her emotions, and leaves a trace of mystery. If you master emotional contrast, timing, anchoring, and scarcity, you don't need to be her type, her ideal, or even her first choice. You become the one she can't stop thinking about. And that, my friend, is the first taste of real power in attraction. Are you ready to step into the kind of presence that makes her mind chase you without her even realizing it? Because what I'm about to reveal next will teach you how to make her feel magnetically drawn to you, even when you say nothing at all. Now let's get into a truth most men never face. The women who become obsessed are responding to your internal state, not your words, your looks, or your effort. She can sense whether you're grounded, confident, and emotionally independent, even if you try to hide it. The moment you rely on her approval to feel worthy, you lose the magnetic pull that makes her think about you constantly. Obsession is not about what you do. It's about who you are, how you carry yourself, and the energy you radiate. Here's the crucial psychological point. Women are wired to notice high-status signals, but not just in a conventional sense. Status isn't about money or muscle. It's about self-possession, how you handle your emotions, how you manage your life, how much of yourself you give away freely versus keeping sacred. This creates invisible value. A man who is internally solid, who doesn't chase validation, automatically commands attention. he becomes someone worth thinking about. You also need to understand emotional mirroring. When you reflect her emotions subtly, not like a parrot, you create a deep sense of connection. But here's the catch. Obsession only grows when you don't overdo it. Too much mirroring equals predictability. Too much compliance equals ordinariness. The key is selective empathy. Understand her feelings, respond meaningfully, but keep enough space for her mind to wander and fill in the gaps about who you are. That space is fertile ground for obsession. Another layer is challenge and reward. Obsession thrives in cycles of tension and release. You challenge her expectations subtly, through conversation, through your boundaries, through your calm refusal to be ordinary, and then you reward her with moments of genuine attention, laughter, or intrigue. This creates emotional highs she begins to crave. She will replay these highs mentally, wondering why she feels drawn to you so intensely. That, my friend, is the pattern her subconscious latches onto. Finally, let's talk about identity projection. Women often project who they want to be onto men who inspire them emotionally. If you live a life of purpose, confidence, and intrigue, she begins associating you with the version of herself that she desires to be, adventurous, valued, alive. She starts obsessing because your presence feels like an experience she can't get anywhere else. It's not about you changing her mind. It's about her mind being stimulated in ways she can't explain. The harsh reality most men never accept is this: being predictable, agreeable, or nice won't make a woman obsessed, but being unshakably yourself, emotionally compelling, and subtly challenging will. Obsession is born in contrast, between comfort and intrigue, familiarity and depth, presence and absence. Master these contrasts internally, and you will notice her thoughts increasingly orbiting around you without forcing, chasing, or pretending. If you can do this, she won't just want you. She'll need to know where you are, what you're thinking, and whether she can capture a fragment of your attention. And that, my friend, is where real attraction begins. Do you want me to show you exactly how to create magnetic scarcity and irresistible pull that keeps her mentally hooked on you? Because the next part is where it gets dangerously effective. Here's a secret most men overlook. Obsession is not just emotional, it's neurological. Her brain literally starts craving your presence once you hit the right psychological triggers. Dopamine spikes when she experiences unpredictability, mystery, or emotional intensity around you. Oxytocin builds when she feels understood, validated, or subtly mirrored. When these chemicals intertwine in her subconscious, she becomes mentally and emotionally preoccupied. Understanding this is crucial, because it means that obsession is not created by effort, it's created by strategic emotional architecture. The first key to this architecture is emotional rarity. Ordinary men are constantly available. They text back immediately, reply to every story, and give attention without discretion. You must reverse this. Your attention should feel precious, even natural, but never guaranteed. When she senses your energy is limited, her brain starts assigning it value. Scarcity is not about manipulation, it's about self-respect. She becomes obsessed with what feels uniquely valuable, because rarity creates the perception of importance. Next, understand the power of emotional peaks and valleys. Obsession grows when her emotional state experiences subtle highs and lows. Be playful and light-hearted, then serious and introspective. Be slightly elusive, then warm and present. These peaks create dopamine-driven curiosity, while the valleys, the moments she wonders why you're quiet, distant, or deep in thought, create a tension her mind can't ignore. Her brain starts replaying interactions, anticipating moments of emotional reward. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You just have to balance presence and absence with precision. Another vital component is self-expansion. Women obsess over men who make them feel bigger, more alive, or capable. This isn't about flattery or pretense. It's about creating experiences that stimulate her mind or emotions in a unique way. A conversation that challenges her thinking, a joke that makes her laugh harder than usual, or even an unexpected insight. These moments anchor her emotional attention to you. The more she unconsciously links her excitement, joy, or validation to your presence, the stronger her obsession becomes. Finally, her subconscious thrives on unresolved curiosity. If you reveal everything about yourself, she has nothing left to wonder about. But if you show depth gradually, remain mysterious in subtle ways, and maintain a sense of autonomy, Her mind fills in the blanks with intrigue. Every unanswered question becomes a mental loop she can't escape. Obsession is built on curiosity, and curiosity thrives on your controlled unpredictability. Here's the cold truth. Most men destroy their own chances by being too available, too predictable, or too transparent. Obsession only exists when you are slightly elusive, emotionally potent, and psychologically compelling. If you master emotional rarity, peaks and valleys, self-expansion, and curiosity, she will not just notice you, she will replay your presence, your words, your energy, over and over in her mind, and before long, she won't even realize she's obsessed. Do you want to know the exact techniques that subtly pull her in so strongly that she starts chasing you without knowing why? That's what comes next, and it's where most men completely fail. Here's where most men completely miss the point. You do not need to try harder to make her obsessed. In fact, trying harder often kills the attraction entirely. Obsession is magnetic, not transactional. She doesn't obsess over effort, she obsesses over presence, impact, and emotional resonance. The moment you become reactive, needy, or overeager, the magnetic pull collapses. Women are wired to respond to energy that is steady, confident, and slightly unpredictable. That's what keeps her mind spinning around you. Let's break down the psychology of controlled unpredictability. It's not about playing childish games or being cold. It's about creating subtle patterns she can't fully read. One day you're deeply attentive. The next you're quietly focused on your own life. One moment playful, the next moment thoughtful. These contrasts create an emotional tension her subconscious cannot resolve. Her mind starts looping through scenarios, memories, and possibilities, trying to understand you, and that loop is the foundation of obsession. Then there's anchoring through emotional impact. Every time you trigger a strong emotional response, laughter, excitement, admiration, curiosity, you plant a psychological anchor. Over time, these anchors accumulate, and her brain begins associating her positive, elevated emotions with you. This is how she starts thinking about you when you're not there. It's subtle, it's unconscious, and it's far more powerful than words, texts, or gifts. Another layer most men ignore is identity projection. She will project her desires, fantasies, and aspirational self onto a man who feels compelling and rare. If your life exudes purpose, calm confidence, and intrigue, she starts linking you to the version of herself she wants to be around. Suddenly, she's not just interested in you, she's mentally and emotionally invested in how you make her feel. And that investment grows obsession faster than anything else. Finally, never underestimate the power of absence as gravity. When you are slightly unavailable, focused on your own goals and life, she feels a pull she can't explain. It's not manipulation, it's biology. Women are drawn to men whose presence elevates them, but whose absence creates longing. The combination of impact, when present, and meaningful absence when away, creates emotional craving. Here's the truth. Most men destroy obsession by being predictable, clingy, or emotionally needy. The men women obsess over are steady, confident, mysterious, and subtly powerful. They don't chase, they create emotional loops through contrast, anchors, projection, and absence. Master these forces, and you won't need to convince her to want you. She'll think about you, care about you, and crave your presence without even realizing it. If you follow this, you step into a realm where women can't ignore you. And in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to combine these principles in real-life interactions so her subconscious starts craving you like nothing else. Now it's time to understand the final element that separates men women obsess over from men they forget: the art of psychological pull in real-life interactions. This is where theory becomes practice. You've learnt about emotional contrast, rarity, anchoring, self-expansion, and controlled unpredictability. But if you don't apply it subtly in everyday moments, all that knowledge stays in your head, and she never feels the magnetic pull. The key is integration, not performance. Every conversation, glance, or gesture is an opportunity to create impact. Notice how most men over-explain themselves or try too hard to impress. That destroys curiosity. Instead, speak with purposeful brevity. Leave room for her imagination. A single well-timed insight, joke, or observation about her or the world can make her think about you long after the moment passes. When you become the man whose presence lingers in her mind, you activate obsession naturally. Then there's subtle challenge. Women are wired to respond to men who set boundaries, hold standards, and subtly resist validation seeking. This doesn't mean arrogance or rudeness. It means being calm, self-directed, and unwilling to compromise your core values for approval. That subtle challenge creates tension and makes her brain want to resolve it. She will start mentally chasing your attention without realizing why. Also, pay attention to emotional layering. Every interaction should create small emotional highs and lows, make her laugh, make her think, and then leave a trace of mystery. Each layer strengthens the subconscious connection. Over time, these repeated emotional spikes form a mental map in her mind. This man makes me feel alive, seen, and challenged in a way no one else does. That map is obsession. Finally, never underestimate the power of your life outside her. The more engaged, confident, and passionate you are in your own pursuits, the stronger your pull becomes. Obsession doesn't grow when you're needy. It grows when you're magnetic. Your purpose, energy, and independence create a gravitational field she can't resist. She will notice your presence, miss it when you're gone, and unconsciously assign importance to every interaction. Remember, obsession is not about coercion. It's about emotional architecture. The man who triggers obsession doesn't do tricks, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't conform to her type. He exists fully, deeply, and unpredictably. He creates tension, anchors emotions, inspires self-expansion, and leaves enough mystery for her subconscious to spin out scenarios about him constantly. When these forces combine, impact, contrast, rarity, challenge, and absence, you no longer compete for attention. She begins to crave your energy, replaying your words and presence over and over. And in the next section, I'm going to reveal how to fine-tune these techniques so she becomes mentally hooked, emotionally invested, and irresistibly drawn to you without ever forcing it. Now we arrive at the point where knowledge becomes power. Everything I've taught you so far, emotional contrast, rarity, anchoring, self-expansion, controlled unpredictability, must be synthesized into your presence. This is the subtle psychological architecture that makes a woman think about you constantly, even when you say nothing at all. The men she obsesses over are not perfect. They are compelling. They are unforgettable. And you can become that man. The first step is mastery over your emotional state. Obsession grows when you are calm, grounded, and unshakable. Reacting emotionally to her moods or trying to control her feelings will destroy attraction instantly. Instead, maintain steady energy, respond thoughtfully, and allow your presence to create an invisible gravitational pull. She will notice the difference, even subconsciously, and her mind will start revolving around you naturally. Next, perfect intentional scarcity. Be present in ways that matter, but don't flood her world with availability. Text less, respond with purpose, and create moments that feel meaningful, because they are rare. When you are abundant but selective with your attention, her brain begins associating you with value, rarity, and significance. This creates a psychological craving that drives obsession. Then comes emotional layering in every interaction. Playfulness, intrigue, warmth, and depth. Layer them together with subtle unpredictability. Leave her mind trying to resolve the puzzle that is you. Every laugh, every insight, every small boundary you hold forms threads that she cannot ignore. Over time, these threads become a mental map, guiding her thoughts back to you repeatedly, without her conscious control. Finally, anchor her emotions through meaningful experiences. Make her feel alive, capable, inspired, and seen in ways she hasn't experienced before. You do not need grand gestures. Sometimes a single thought-provoking conversation, a moment of humor, or the calm confidence in how you handle yourself is enough. Each anchor strengthens her unconscious attachment to you, creating a pull that grows stronger each day. The ultimate truth. Women obsess over men who exist fully in their own world, yet leave an indelible mark on hers. You don't need to be her type, her ideal, or even the best-looking man in the room. You need to be compelling, unpredictable, emotionally potent, and subtly rare. That combination creates fascination, preoccupation, and eventually obsession. When you master these principles, emotional contrast, presence and absence, impact and intrigue, challenge and reward, You step into a new level of attraction. She won't just notice you. She will think about you when you're gone. Remember your words, replay your energy, and unconsciously seek more. That is the psychology of obsession. And here's the final insight few men ever understand. You do not chase obsession. You cultivate it within yourself. Become a man who is unforgettable, emotionally compelling, and internally rare, and the rest will follow naturally. Obsession is not manipulation. It is the natural consequence of a man who is psychologically magnetic, self-contained, and impossible to ignore. Welcome to the point where you stop being ordinary and start being unforgettable.